Hi, I'm Pasha Malla. I wrote a book called The Withdrawal Method, but instead of reading from the Withdrawal Method, I'm going to read from this poetry anthology I wrote in grade 8 called Death. This anthology also includes a natural history project we had to do where we had to pick a place in the world and then sort of trace the history from the time of dinosaurs to present day. I was very obsessed with Stephen King as a kid, so I took this as an opportunity to write gore. And so there's a scene with dinosaurs, and it degenerates into a Stegosaurus goring a T-Rex with its tail, and there's blood everywhere. So I'm going to read from the second chapter, which is during caveman times, which does include like, 2 sentences of historical information, and then sort of like degenerates into this. So basically what's happened, there are a tribe of nomadic cave people who come across a herd of bison. So they are sneaking up on a bison. The 2 characters are Foe and Gungcock. The spear came out suddenly, and it plowed into the bison's forehead. Blood gurgled out of the narrow hole, and the animal bellowed in pain. The hunter wrenched the spear free, only to bring it down again, this time into one of the bison's glazed eyes. A thin, yellow pus began to seep from the wounded animal's eye, and the blood from the first gash still bubbled crazily. The bison slumped to the ground, and the hunter thrust his spear into the animal for the last time. The flint blade tore a ragged hole in the beast's side. Fresh blood gushed onto the snow, leaving a huge scarlet patch on the contrasting whiteness. At last, the bison lay still. During this time, the other hunters, which was a group of 25 or so, were approaching the other bison, and maybe 5 or 6 had befallen the same fate as the first. Most of the bison had begun to stampede away from the hunters, but still maybe 3,000 remained in the valley. Fu and Gungcock stood back to back, each hacking madly at an animal with the sharpened flint edge of their spears. They were on the far side of the valley, and little did they know that they were in line with the stampeding bison. Fu looked up, his face and hands stained with crimson blood, and saw the herd of bison hurtling towards him and Gungcock. "Gungcock!" he cried, and flung himself out of the way of the stampede. Gungcock was obliviously oblivious to both Fu's warning and the oncoming animals. He stood proudly beside his first kill of the day, beaming broadly. The first of the fear-stricken bison hit him full in the back, knocking him flat on his face. Fu stood helpless, maybe 5 yards away as the bison trampled his friend. He heard bones snap like twigs amidst the terrific rumbling. He heard Gungcock screaming. He heard himself screaming. It was all over in maybe 10 seconds, but to Fu it seemed like a millennium. He rushed over to the flattened body of Gungcock. Blood was spattered about and all over the limp carcass. Under the raw meat that was his head rested the soft, gray tissue of his brain. Fu turned around and was noisily sick. Thanks.